What's up, guys? This is TheKephas. And I'm back on YouTube and back on World of Warcraft. Just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in. Here we are playing World of Warcraft. Actually, to be more specific, it's World of Warcraft TBC Classic. Not really wanting to play any retail, not for a while at least. But I am having some fun playing TBC Classic. And yeah, it's kind of funny actually. So why am I here? The reason why I'm playing TBC Classic is because I have not made any videos for a while, but I've still been getting a lot of comments and views on a lot of my old macro guides. And I've had a lot of people requesting that I sort of either update macros or explain how Gnome Sequencer works, because apparently Gnome Sequencer has gone through some serious changes. I think some people might think that I am the mod author, and I'm not. So yeah, I'm not the mod author. I just make videos. I made videos about the game and about the macros and the mod and all that stuff. So yeah, apparently Gnome Sequencer has gone through some changes, and you know, I was kind of missing the classic, you know, feel a little bit, and I wanted to come check out and see what the changes are. Next thing you know, I've rolled a paladin and a hunter, and I'm leveling them up, and yeah, you never truly leave WoW. But the reason why I'm here today is to take a look at Gnome Sequencer and see if maybe I can help a little bit explain the changes to Gnome Sequencer, because it's pretty massive. I mean, it's a pretty big change. If you don't know how to make macros, if you don't understand what's going on, it might be very confusing to you, and that's understandable. So I don't know how much help I'm going to be. I'm going to be completely honest here. I don't fully know everything about all the changes. I don't fully understand everything. I'm not like some crazy expert or anything like that. And honestly, I want to get this out of the way. I don't want to get anybody's hopes up. This is not me coming back to WoW, making content. This is not me making new macros. I'm not making any promises for that. That's not something that I intend to do. Certainly not for retail, but probably not even for Classic. I don't intend to make macros again. I don't intend to get back into the WoW content creation. Never say never, but at least for the time being. But I did feel bad for people because, you know, a lot of people like to use these macros, and I was very curious. So maybe I can be of some help. So we're playing a hunter, level 22, TBC Classic. Pretty much everything about the mod Gnome Sequencer and how you make macros will apply to any version of the game. Obviously, there might be some differences because Classic has ranks and Retail has some spells that change into other spells, and those kind of work the same way. But either way, let's get into it. We're going to type in /GS to open up Gnome Sequencer. Now, I've already made a macro. This is one of the, that I'm kind of a work in progress. I'm kind of experimenting with it here and learning as I go. I want to right-click my macro called Hunter, because I'm playing a Hunter, and then, yeah, so far everything looks the same, but then you click on one, and whoa, that's different. Okay, lots of differences, lots of changes here, and for anybody that's not knowing what's going on, it can be very confusing, and it was for me, still kind of is a little bit, but honestly, okay, let me just say this, you know, there always, anytime you go through changes like this, if you had no problems with the old system, and you might be wondering, you know, why make these changes, and the best of my knowledge, and honestly, from what I've done here, these changes are great. And if you can get your mind around them, then you have a lot more options available and a lot more control over what your macro can do, okay, which is nice. So that's kind of the idea. Now, my macro here is just a simple hunter macro that does like 3 things. And as I add in more abilities, it'll do more as I unlock more abilities. But for now, I just kind of go with what I have. So let's try to go ahead and look at this and see what I've done here, okay? So the first thing that you'll see is a bunch of icons, raw edit, compiled. I ignore these. I ignore these 2 things. And then you see this thing that says block type action, okay? What a block type action is each block is a key press. Okay, that's what you need to know. There are different block types. So there's action, there's repeat, there's loop, there's pause, and they all behave in different ways, but each block is a key press. That's the thing that you need to know. So if I add a new block in, if I click on this, and it creates another block type action. When I press the button once, it's going to do this block, and then when I press it a second time, it's going to do this block. It's going to say hello. We don't want to do that though, especially if we're spamming, but there you go. And of course you can delete this just by clicking X. So basically the old system had like one big window that said sequence. Okay, now the sequence stuff is still here, it's just that it's presented in a different way. Okay, so basically what you're going to do here in this case is you're going to see cast arcane shot. So every time I press the button, it's going to cast arcane shot. If I add another block in and added in another ability like multi-shot, so if I add in like, so I could do that, I could say cast multi, and I believe there's a dash, shots. I believe that's how you do multi-shot. It'll do arcane shot, and then it'll do multi-shot. Ignore the key press, key release stuff. We'll get into that in a little bit, okay? So then it would just cycle between these two abilities. Now, that's basically what this macro would do, okay? So we're going to go ahead and delete that because we don't want to do that. Now, what are the key press and key releases? Okay, well, actually, you know what? Let's wait. We'll go through the block type actions first, and then we'll get into that. Okay, so that's the first one is a block type action. Okay, it's going to do whatever is in the action, and then it's going to move on to the next block. Okay, a repeat block, which is this one here. I believe that's what this is yes, add repeat. Okay, so if I click this, now it's added in a repeat. You can see it says interval and it says repeat. Now what this is going to do, I haven't fully tested this yet, but this is what I understand that this does, so I sincerely apologize if I'm wrong. You can put an interval in here of like however many you want, and what's going to happen is it's going to do the first block, and then when it moves to your repeat block, it's going to do whatever you put in this repeat that many times. So like, let's say I wanted to do arcane shot once, and then I want to do like, or let's say I put serpent sting here. That's a good example. So I put serpent sting here, and then that's a dot, right? So then I can go down here, and then all I want to do is use arcane shot. Okay, I can put an interval of like, let's see, say it takes like on average 4 arcane shots to before serpent sting needs to be reapplied. What would happen is I would put arcane shot in this window here. It would do that 4 times, 4 different presses of the button, of course, and then it would go back up and do this again, okay? Or if you have any blocks after this, it would progress to the next block. So hopefully that makes sense. So repeat block is, it's going to repeat whatever you put in that block, and then it's going to move on to the next one. This can be useful, say, like, you know, like in this case, if you have a dot, okay, you're going to use the dot, and then you're going to repeat one spell like 3 or 4 times. So like, say you're a warlock, okay, you've got your dots up there, like 3 blocks for all of your different dots, corruption, you know, curse of agony, siphon life, whatever the heck it is. You have 3 blocks with each of those dots, and then your 4th block is like, what is it, shadow bolt. And so you say, I'll probably do 3 or 4 shadow bolts, and then I'll need to reapply my dots. So you could be like shadow bolt interval 4. It'll do that 4 times, and then it'll go back to the top and reapply your dots. That's what a repeat block basically does. I hope I explained that well enough. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and delete that because we're not going to need that repeat block. The next one is a loop. Now, the loop is your sequence section. Okay, so if I click on loop here, it's added a new block type called a loop. Okay, now it looks a little bit confusing because now you go down and you see block type action. Okay, so you can see that this is kind of what is it? What's the word I'm trying to think of? It's moved over. I'm trying to think of what that's called. An indent? Is that what it is? Dude, my brain's farting right now. I'm embarrassed. Anyway, I think it's an indent. It's moved over. It's a bullet point in. You can see there's a line here. And so basically, you can add more to your loop. Okay, so if I click on another block type action, there you go. Now you can see that now there are 2 block types actions inside of this loop window. This is your sequence, okay? And remember, each block type action is a key press. What that means is, so what's going to happen here is it's going to do arcane shot, and then it's going to move into the loop, and it's going to loop this however many times I want. So kind of like the repeat, I can do the same thing here. I can put an interval of like 5, and then it's going to do the 2 abilities as many times as I want. So basically, the loop is like repeat, but with adding in more blocks or more abilities or more button presses, okay? So that's kind of the idea there. So like, let's say instead of doing like one thing like Shadow Bolt or, you know, Arcane Shot or whatever the heck it is you're doing, maybe you're going to do Arcane Shot and Multi-Shot, and then you're going to go back to do Serpent Sting or whatever. This is how you would do that. So this is your sequence. And you can see here, you can kind of switch out your sequence. There's priority list, random, reverse priority, and then sequence. And this is the same thing as the old GNOME sequencer. This is the exact same thing as that, okay? So you can put in as many blocks as you want. You can even add in repeat blocks and have a loop within your loop, which is ridiculous, but you can totally do that if you want to. So basically what will happen is the first press will do your first block action, okay? Then it's going to move into your block loop. It's going to loop however many times you set it to loop, and then it will go back to your block action. Now, if you didn't want to have the block action and you just want to have a loop so that you could create a sequence mod, this is how you would do that. So like, let's say you don't want to do this. Let's say you don't want Arcane Shot, you don't want a block type action. Get rid of that. Now you just have your loop. You could do that if you want to, and then you don't even need to worry about how many times it repeats. And what's going to happen is you can put in as many abilities as you want to by adding more block type actions in here. And then what's going to happen is you're just going to do your sequence macro as you would before. So if you want a traditional, like old school sequence style macro, block type loop is your answer. And then you put in all of your abilities here. So you could be like cast Serpent Sting here. You could do cast Arcane Shot there, and then be like cast Multi-Shot there. Now, I'm not saying you should do it this way, but that's an option that you'd have. So now what would happen is it would prioritize, you know, it would do Serpent Sting, and then it would do, if Serpent Sting isn't available, it'll do Arcane Shot, and if that's not available, it'll do Multi-Shot. And then you can do your traditional priority macros using the block type loop. Okay, so that's how that's going to work. Each press is going to move through the loop. Okay, that's basically all you need to know. If you just add in, so to clarify, and I'm going to go ahead and close and go back, we don't need that anymore. If you just do, say, just block type actions, okay, why not just do a bunch of block type actions and do the same thing? Well, the reason why you don't do that is because you don't see the sequence options, okay? So what this would do is it would just cycle through these abilities with each button press. So it would do this one, this one, this one, and then we go back to the top. It wouldn't do a priority. You wouldn't do random or whatever option you want to do. If you want to have those specific options like this, then you need to make it a loop and then add more block type actions within that loop. Okay, so I understand that for some people this might be too much for people to understand. I'm sorry, I'm doing the best that I can, but yeah, that's basically how that works. The last one is a pause block. Now, I have no idea, and I'm not gonna lie, I have no idea how this works. And it says, like, you know, you pause for the global cooldown. I need to learn more about this. This looks kind of cool. I have no idea what this does. But yeah, there it is. There it is. It's a pause. It's going to pause before, I don't know. I have no idea. So I'm not even going to try to explain it because I have no clue. Okay? So, yeah. So the big thing to know is that each block is a key press. Okay? Is a button press. And then it moves on to the next block. If it's a repeat, it's going to repeat that block how many times you set it to, and then move on to the block after that, or go back to the top. And then there's also loop, where it's going to loop in however many blocks you put into that loop, and then it'll go back. That's basically how these work. Pause, no idea. Might be something awesome, but I don't know. Now, let's go ahead and go down here to your variables. Okay, variables are basically the same thing as the old key press and key release. Okay, so you can see here, just like in before where I had key press, and I named it key press so that it would maybe make more sense. You can actually name these whatever you want. You can name it cooldown, you can name it opener, I don't know, whatever you want to do. You can name it whatever you want, but I did key press and key release so it would make it easier for my brain to understand, because in the old macros, this is where what I would put under key press, and then this is what I would put under key release. Okay, so basically key press is like, you can put things in here where each okay, bleh, let me try to explain it. This one's a little bit harder to explain, like, in my brain right now. So I put a bunch of things in here. So I have target enemy, no harm, dead, pet attack, start attack, and then I have a cast sequence. So it'll do Hunter's Mark, Serpent Sting, and then Null. So basically, what this is going to do is it's going to engage combat. It's going to apply Hunter's Mark, and then it's going to apply Serpent Sting, and then it's done. It's also going to send my pet to attack, and it's going to start me attacking auto attacks. Okay? Now, that's what key press does. Key release is all of my cooldowns that I have now. Kill command, it'll use that on cooldown. Bestial Wrath, Blood Fury, and which is my racial. It'll do all those. Keep in mind that you cannot put abilities that are on the global cooldown together in these sections. It won't work unless you do like a cast sequence null kind of thing. Okay, so keep that in mind. So if you try to stack two abilities like in retail, say you have a cooldown that for whatever reason they decided to put it on the global cooldown, you can't add that with another ability that is also on the global cooldown. So it won't work that way. So you have to put abilities, at least you can have one ability that's on the global cooldown. Everything else that you do has to be off the global cooldown. Okay. If you understand how global cooldowns works, that makes sense. If you don't, then it may not, so I apologize. Okay, like I said, you can name these whatever you want. You can name this starter, you can name this cooldowns. I did key press, key release. Now, what you need to do is when you create a variable and you put in whatever you want into it, you have to apply or add that to each block, which might sound annoying, but it gives you a lot more control. The way that you add your variable to the block is you do 2 tildes, type in the name of the variable, and then 2 more tildes, and that's one line. And then you put whatever ability you have, and then you do, if you have other ones, you can do as many variables as you want. So I did them this way because, again, it makes sense in my brain. Key press, key release is how I'm doing it. And then every time I press the button and it activates this block, it's going to do Arcane Shot, but it's also going to do everything in my key press and everything in my key release if those abilities are available. So in most cases, you'll probably want to add, like, you'll want a variable that does target enemy. You'll want that one. That's helpful. If you have a pet, you want to do pet attack, and you'll also want to do start attack. Beyond that, you know, it's up to you. I mean, I did Hunter's Mark this way because it works well and it's really easy. And then, of course, down here, kind of the same thing. It's easy to add all your cooldowns in, but if you want every key press that you do to apply your cooldowns, if they're available, then you're going to need to put your variable into each block. So keep that in mind. That's how you activate them. So basically, it's just the same. It works the same as key press and key release did before. It's just that now you have to add them into each block. It's a little tedious, but again, it gives you more control over your abilities. So like, let's say you have you only want to use a cooldown with a specific ability for whatever reason. You could only, you could make a variable with that cooldown and then only apply it to that block that has that ability. You could do that if you want to, if that's how you want to roll, or you could just add it into every new block. It's as simple as just copy and pasting it or whatever. It's not a big deal. You can name them something even shorter like CD for cooldowns, whatever you want to do, but you do need to put 2 tildes before and 2 tildes after. It gives you 2 examples down here. And then I think these are actually variables that are built in to the game. So like the system, it explains to you what they are, and it shows you how to add those into your macro. So yeah, okay, so hopefully that made sense. Okay, hopefully I did my best to explain this. Now we can demonstrate my macro, and I'll say what it's going to do here. So I have key press in with Arcane Shot. Now if I go down here, so what it's going to do, as I said, it's going to target the enemy, it's going to pet attack, send my pet to attack, and it's going to start attack for me, and then it's going to apply Hunter's Mark and cast Serpent Sting, and then Null to end that cast sequence for the remainder of the target. Now, if I switch to a different target, this will reset. It'll apply Hunter's Mark and Serpent Sting to the new target, and it'll work like that, okay? Now, once it's Null, it's then going to go into using Arcane Shot whenever Arcane Shot is available. And I could switch this with, I'll probably switch this with Multi-Shot eventually, maybe, because Multi-Shot, I believe, is more mana efficient. And then once I get the abilities, for now I have Blood Fury because I'm an orc, it will cast this on cooldown every time I press the button if it's available, and it will also do the same with Bestial Wrath and Kill Command when those abilities become available to me. Now, the thing to note for Classic is that it's really annoying because of how ranks work. So as you can see, it says rank 3. Down here it says rank 3 for Serpent Sting. It says rank 2 for Hunter's Mark. Whenever you save the macro or put those abilities in, it puts in your latest rank, okay? So if you go and learn the next rank of Hunter's Mark, you will have to come into your macro and apply that rank. You'll have to change it from rank 2 to rank 3 because that's just how the system works. It's not the mod's fault. It's just how the game works, unfortunately. Unless you specify a lower rank, it's always going to put in the latest rank, but it won't update that if you learn a new higher rank. Okay, so you will have to come in each time until you max out your character and get the maxed rank. Then you won't have to worry about it anymore. But up until then, you will have to unfortunately come in and constantly upgrade your macros, which honestly isn't as big a deal as I would thought it would be because you don't do it that often. But still, it is a minor annoyance, but there's not much that they can do about it. So, so let's go ahead and demonstrate this. I already have it on my action bar here. So what this is going to do is, oops, my controller died. I'm using console port here. Let's go ahead and turn that back on. Okay, so let me summon my pet first. There's my pet. I didn't put any pet management into the macro because I didn't want to, I didn't want it to be too confusing for me yet. So, all right, so we're going to attack this low-level poor Plane Strider. So I'm going to press the button once. Oh, crap. Hang on a second. I don't have that applied. Ha! My bad. Whoops. I don't have that on my action bar. My B. That goes there. I had attack there. I don't know what I was thinking. Okay, it's been a minute. Give me a break. Give me a break here. Okay, so there we go. Find a new one. Now, let's try that again. Target the Plane Strider. We're going to press it once. There you go. Sends my pet and applies Hunter's Mark. Press it again to do Serpent Sting. Now that's done. If I press it again, it'll do Arcane Shot. Now that thing's already dead. And so once it applies Serpent Sting, it'll no longer apply Hunter's Mark or Serpent Sting, and then it'll go straight into using the Arcane Shot from there on out. Okay, I can add more to it. It'll use cooldowns, as you saw. If you notice, it also used my racial Blood Fury for the duration. So yeah, so if I can do it again, very simple macro, works perfectly for me now. I probably don't really need to use Serpent Sting, but why not? I mean, what the heck else am I going to do, right? So I do that, and then of course Arcane Shot, I can switch it to Multi-Shot. I could not use Arcane Shot. If I get Aim Shot, I can switch it to that. That's kind of the idea. And there's something that lasted a little bit longer. I probably should have went to a higher leveled area. But anyway, there you guys go. I hope that this kind of sheds some light on the changes. That's all I know. I don't have any more answers. Like, if you have questions, I'm probably not going to be able to give you answers. I do apologize for that. I also apologize for people who might be wanting me to make more macros. Sorry guys, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not committed to WoW enough. I'm playing it right now. Don't know how long I'm going to be doing that. So I can't make the commitment to be making more macros. And honestly, I'm just going to be blunt with you guys. I don't want to touch retail. I think retail sucks. It's not worth my time. So I'm not going to be doing that anyways. Even if I did do anything for WoW again, it would never be with retail. At least not until the next expansion, if things get better. So that's where I stand. Hopefully you guys can respect that, understand that. But hopefully this video kind of helped you understand how the macro making process works. And maybe you can make some macros on your own if you want to. You can check out WoW Lazy Macros to learn more information about Gnome Sequencer, and check out macros that other people make. You can import macros from there. You can get help from there. That might be able to help you out. But hopefully, I noticed there wasn't a lot of information about Gnome Sequencer, so I wanted to make a little guide. Hopefully this helps out a little bit. I'm sorry, I know it's not perfect, but it's the best that I can do. I'm going to keep playing. I'm going to keep tinkering with it. And yeah, so hopefully it'll help you guys out. I hope you guys are having fun. Enjoy the rest of your day, and have fun playing WoW or whatever game you're playing. I hope that you can find ways to make it accessible for you, and maybe I helped out just a little bit. But anyways, I won't keep any more of your time. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys on the next one. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, let me know by clicking that like button. And feel free to share it with your friends so they can enjoy it as well. And if you'd like to see more videos, you can subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon to be notified as soon as new videos are posted. You can also follow me on Facebook, and if you'd like, you can support my work on Patreon. Links to all that stuff can be found in the description below. This is TheKephas. Until next time.